What's up everybody, Byron here from ETA, and we're here today to talk about what's in this box. Some of you may recognize the packaging, some of you may not. This is the Rost R1MC. And in this video, we're going to talk about what it is, what it isn't, what are its strengths, what are its weaknesses, and what was my biggest letdown about this pistol. Let's get into it. Pop the top. You got your operator's manual, which Rost, if you see this video, I want you to reach out to me through my website. I will use my skills as a tech writer and rewrite this so that it makes sense. If you read through the operator's manual, which I'm not going to bother to read through this, it's bad. You can tell that this is not a native English speaker that wrote this manual, which is kind of alarming considering this is allegedly a pistol made in Dallas. So to spare you guys having to sit through the whole video, I'm just going to tell you my biggest single disappointment about this gun. This pistol is not made in Dallas, Texas. Although it may be assembled there. As you can see, we're clear. Although it may be assembled in Dallas, Texas, this is an Arex Delta M. And while I am disappointed that this is not an American-made pistol, the Arex Delta M is a hell of a nice gun. So let's get into it, shall we? First thing we're going to talk about is the fact that it is, as far as the size spectrum, it's very hard to classify. So it is wider than a Glock 48, and it is not as wide as a Glock 19. It's kind of like the Shield Plus is for me, I guess you would say. It's very nicely in the middle. This is a very nice width for a carry gun. This is a carry gun that gives you 17 rounds and 15 rounds. Also, they tell you in the magazine not to use CZ-P10C magazines. I ran this gun flawlessly for several hundred rounds with P10C magazines. Do with that what you will. But what you need, I'm going to show you, you have to make sure your P10C magazine has a center catch, because as this is a fully ambidextrous mag release, meaning if God hates you, this is a great choice of a gun for you. You can hit it either way. Right? Fully ambidextrous slide release, fully ambidextrous magazine release, fully ambidextrous takedown lever. Sorry, that's a dumb joke. You can change out the back strap. As you can see, it comes with 2 additional back straps. And it does come with, this is another point of contention I have with this Rost R1MC. This is an RMR optic mount plate. So it is optics ready, obviously. And it comes with an RMR optics plate. Now, if you put an RMR on it, your RMR is going to hang off of each side of this to the point where it defeats the purpose of having a skinny slide. Rost, you should have shipped this, especially for this size of pistol. You should have shipped this with an R1MC. Let's get rid of here and just focus in on the gun now, shall we? It does come with 2 magazines. As I said, you can use P10C magazines. Specifically, I use the ones that I bought for my P07. Do with that what you will. The way this gun takes down is interesting. It is unlike a Glock. It's similar in that you have to pull the trigger. Speaking of which, one thing I do like about the gun, if you can see that, hopefully you guys can see that. There we go. This is your loaded chamber indicator, and the loaded chamber indicator pops out a little bit as you pull the trigger. So if you are a crotch shooter carrier, aka appendix, and something starts to move the trigger, you can put your thumb here and feel it just like you can with a DASA gun. But you're not going to stop it, just for the record. So the way it comes apart, you take it apart initially like a Glock, and then you simply lift up. So that's pretty cool. What you'll find inside is a completely modular fire control system, which means If Rost Martin decides to start selling just the shells, you can swap out just the shells, as far as I'm aware. I'm trying to find where it's marked on the serial number. It's in an odd location. Here it is. It's actually here in the trigger guard, which I believe that does remove. And yes, it does. So you drive out the 2 roll pins, and then you can take out the fire control module, put it into a different frame, and go about your day. I originally, the first time I saw this, my initial impression was that this was an SCT frame and that this was just a Gen 3 Glock clone. And I was very wrong. I was very wrong. You'll find that the slide, the way that it's cut and the way that it's shaped, is very reminiscent of the Masada, which is an excellent gun. The cocking serrations are quite wide, quite nice to use. It also has a very nice anti-glare across the top of the slide, which is also nice. Plastic optics cover. Obviously, I did not install an optic because putting an RMR size optic on this gun, I think personally, you know, it might be for you, it's not for me. Yes, you can purchase other optics mount plates from Rost Martin, though from my understanding they're a little bit hard to get at the moment. Good thing is they are steel, so they're pretty durable. Now, this is, to the best of my knowledge, one of the lowest price. I don't want to call it a compact because it's smaller than a compact, but I don't want to call it a micro compact because it uses a double stack magazine. So I will call this a slim form factor. Very much like the Glock 48, very much like the Shield Plus. So who is this gun actually competing against? Well, it's not competing against a Glock 19. Based on the width of it, the feel of it, and how easy this gun is to conceal, I believe that this gun is trying to compete squarely with the Shield Plus, FN Reflex, SIG P365, although the P365 is significantly smaller than this pistol, but is somewhere in the 4-inch everyday carry gun size. Does that make sense? Glock 48 is a great example of that. I also want to talk about how nicely crowned the muzzle is. Very nicely crowned. And the trigger. Guys, you have your little slop that you have on every gun, and you're at the wall. Very crisp break. Positive, audible, and tactile reset. That's for my trigger snobs out there. For my trigger snobs out there, this has a better trigger than you will find in just about any category in this size, with the exception of the Shield Plus Performance Center. Now, who is this gun for? If you have never owned a firearm and you want a gun that you can take to the range and you can shoot all day long, that is where I believe the 4-inch EDC guns shine. I myself am greatly preferable of a 4-inch EDC gun. My Glock 48, which I still have, I sold my FN Reflex quite a while ago. However, if you take a look at all of my other carry guns, my Shadow CR920 XP, also about a 4-inch barrel length, although the barrel length is shorter, it's the compensator that makes a difference. Shield Plus carry comp. The point is, I like a 4-inch barrel for my EDC. I find that a 4-inch barrel, for a gentleman my size, I'm 6'4", and I'm about 265 on a good day, can hide a gun like that very well. This is unique in that it is almost the same size as a Glock 48, almost. It is just a hair wider. It's got significantly better ergonomics and a significantly better trigger. The texturing on this frame is something definitely to talk about. While it is not overly aggressive, it is quite good at what it does. There is a nice little flare out at the bottom of the mag. So as you can see, even though this is a slimline compact, or smaller than a compact gun, as you can see, I have a full firing grip. I can get both hands on the gun. Gun has very nice sights. They are steel. You can cock it on a hard surface if needed. The front is just a simple white dot sight. It is not a tritium. It is not an luminescent sight of any size, shape, or sort. Realistically, if you put an optic on this pistol, unless you change out the sights, of which this uses the SIG pattern dovetail. So you can swap out these sights for a SIG pattern dovetail, okay? For the price that I paid, which this is, I can't tell you how much I paid for it. but I can tell you that it is sub 400, okay? Now, if I had to choose the Rost Martin R1MC or the Arex Delta M, I personally would choose the Arex Delta M. And the reason is I like the couple of extra features of the texturing on the Delta M just a little bit better. That's a me thing. If you pick this up, if you've never shot a Delta M, you're in for a treat. The gun is very easy to shoot, very reasonable quality materials overall. It is as simple gets. Point and click. I mean, I don't know how much more to say about it, really. Overall, would I rate this gun? Actually, you know what? We're gonna pause right here because I'm gonna show you exactly how in between sizes this is. I'm gonna go get my P07. I really wish I had the Ruger still. Hey, I'm a small channel, I'm independent, and I'm self-funded, so I had to move the Ruger RXM to a new home, but that would have been a perfect example of the Glock 19. However, I have my P07, so I'm gonna grab my P07 and I'm gonna grab my Glock 48, I'm gonna grab my Shadow, and I'm gonna grab my Shield Plus, and I'm just gonna show you how this sizes up in comparison to them, just in case you want some examples, because these are not widely available, okay? So chances are the first time you encounter this pistol is after you order one from an online sale. And I wanna just kind of give you guys something in your head that you can compare it to in a gun store, and you can find out if this size pistol is even for you, right? So we're gonna show you all pistols on the table have been cleared. This is the Masada. This is the full-size Masada. Just to give you guys a little bit of an example. You can see how much smaller this is compared to this. So now we'll move you off to the side. This is the Glock 48. Now this is not the MOS Glock 48. This is the plain Jane, doesn't even have a light rail Glock 48. I want you to see that. They are very similar in size. However, this is a little skinnier because it has a 10-round single stack, whereas this takes a 15-round double stack magazine. Here's the Shadow. Again, you can see that they're a very similar size. However, it is wider than the CR920 XP, which is in and of itself an actual slimline pistol, although it does hold 15 rounds. Here's the Shield Plus Carry Comp. Take a look here. This is the 4-inch Shield Plus, of course, and they're damn near the same size, okay? And this is my absolute favorite everyday carry gun, I think, in fact, that I've ever owned. And I don't say that lightly, because I have quite a few guns. So as you can see, this is a little wider than this. So for example, if you're a guy with big hands and the Shield Plus is just too skinny for you, and you want more than 10 rounds, this would be a damn good choice. And the price difference between these two, you can get 500 rounds of ammo to practice. Downsides: holster availability. However, holster compatibility, I want to hit on that, as I'm very happy to report this pistol works flawlessly with 2 of the different CZ P07 holsters that I own. Speaking of which, here's my P07. Also for a size comparison. They're about the same length. However, this is a good bit skinnier than the CZ, and it's a tiny bit shorter than the CZ. And I have the large grip installed on this pistol because I have big ol' hands. For those that are curious as to what these different grip lengths do, they change how you interact with the pistol. So on the skinniest one, or the small, you have less of a reach to get to the trigger, whereas on the long or the large, it pushes your hand back just a little bit more so that you can interact with the trigger just a little bit better. It also affects the hump here, which affects how it locks into your hand. And to a certain extent, it increases the surface area here so you can really get in and drive on the pistol and do what you need to do and get that good grip. If you are a thumbs high kind of person, this gun will work for you. If you're not, if you're a thumbs forward kind of person, like so, you may find that while you're resting on the slide lock, you're not actuating the slide lock under fire. I've never had that occur, although I have thought that it was going to occur several times. It in fact didn't. Overall, if I had to give this pistol a score, I would give this a solid 7. This would be an 8.5. This would be a 9.5. Believe it or not, this would be an 8. This is a 9. And this is a 9. Just in case you wanted to see where my taste lied. The biggest thing that really disappointed me about this gun is I was looking forward to supporting an American company. And Rost Martin is an American company. However, they source the slide and all of the mechanics from Slovenia, which is not a bad thing. Slovenia makes very good pistols. And this, believe it or not, especially for the money, is a very good pistol. So I'm Byron. Please feel free to ask your questions down in the chat below. Let me know, are you considering a Rost Martin? Have you already bought a Rost Martin and you're just looking for reassurance that you spent good money? Which, newsflash, you did. I'm such a believer in this pistol. I've got over 1,000 rounds through it now, as it is right now, okay? And I'm actually giving this to my daughter, who lives in a very, very not so nice area and routinely travels through this not so nice area. So if I was keeping this, me personally, I would definitely spend some time working through different holsters until I found the one that worked the best for me, which I did mention it's compatible with a CZ P07 size holster, which is weird to me because this is quite a bit of a smaller frame. I mean, you can kind of see the width difference here, but who am I to question? It works, and it works well. This is one of my all-time favorite pistols, by the way. Now, I will be, as I mentioned, this is going to be a present for my daughter. However, I am going to get the Arex Delta M next, and we're going to do, I can't do a side-by-side review, unfortunately, as this will be with my daughter after this weekend. But we can refer back to some of this footage, hopefully, and we'll check it out. Overall, very good way to enter the pistol world. And if you're already in the pistol world and you just want something that you can pump hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds through it, do the minimal amount of maintenance necessary, and still have it defend your kith and kin, could you do better for the money? It's subjective, and only you can make that decision. So I'm Byron. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna hit the range.